So, welcome, everybody that is in here. I am Mr. Funn. And no, it's not some made up name. My last name is actually Funn. I know you're fine. I'll show you my birth certificate, all that other stuff at some later time. But yes, you are here at the Poetry Salon. And I am, or actually, I pretend to be a poet from time to time, but they're like these four other amazing people that are going to be performing poetry. They're like a bajillion times better than I could ever be. So you'll hear from them and you'll be able to say, like, yeah, Mr. Funn wasn't even lying. He's an okay guy. But those other four, they're amazing. So what we want to do is we want to share a little bit about who we are, and we're going to share some poems with you, and we want to hear from you guys. So you have the opportunity to ask us questions. You could also type those questions in because I know it's really early in the morning, and some of you are like, yeah, I'm kind of here, but not really, but kind of. So cool. So I am going to start with a poem, and then I'm going to hand it off to one of my poet friends, and then they're going to hand it off to one of their poet friends. And once we go through the first round, we will say, like, hey, do you guys have any questions about poetry? Don't ask us hard questions like, what's the square root of 3? Because, you know, we're poets. We love words, not numbers. So, yeah, be gentle with us. Okay, so with that being said, I'm Mr. Funn, and here is a poem that I'm going to do for you guys. It started when I was young. This love between you and I, it took one taste and man, I was sprung. Now it's better when you're hot and wet, but that first time I had you raw, back then it just meant, wait, I was poor. You see, ramen noodles have been good to us all, and I know you may be thinking, dude, you are so wrong, or Mr. Funn, you're kind of right. But there are many of you alive today because of those ramen noodle nights. Now, I'm no economic whiz, but I'm sure that once or twice before you were 30 cents away from having a quarter, and the only thing left in the house was hot water. You would pillage and plunge for a speck or a crumb just to find those last 2 packs of shrimp and Oreo-flavored holiness. Everyone's been there, baptizing those dry noodle blocks in that one pot we cook everything in. You add those seasoned packets before the noodles. Now that pot looks more like a cauldron. It's magic. Tragic, we don't know what they're made of. But we all got stories of how good those noodles was. You heard stories of how God parted the sea, how Jesus fed thousands with 2 biscuits and a 5-piece. You've even seen your mother make an entire chicken last the whole week. Now it's some holy water miracle that showed us how to turn this 1-course meal into 3. Now don't get me started. If we add some hot dogs and cheese, you get real fancy with the mushrooms and green peppers, please. Mexican casserole, add a little bit of ground beef and salsa under a low heat. I bet you everybody out there got their own ramen noodle recipes. They got ebooks now on 101 ways to eat them raw. Now, I thought you only did that when your water was turned off, but I thought I had seen it all. But in 8th grade, Micah Fetz ate his noodles without the juice. Now, most of my white friends were crazy, but this was just more proof. The thought of noodles not swimming in an ocean of sodium and them little green things was just plain nasty. He had the same reaction we saw the way that I ate mine, but he decided to ask me, Dad, why ate your noodles like that? Don't you realize without the juice, those noodles, they could get all nice and fat? Here it is, y'all. My moment in the sun. It's time to educate the white man on the way black things are done. Like I was the great nephew of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's. I open my mouth and I begin. Yo, son, cause they straight like that. Okay, so this wasn't I Have a Dream. This was the 8th grade, and the delicate social order hinged on the fact that ramen noodle consumption is specific to each race, but I have to admit that I've grown, and I've traveled the world, and once y'all guess what? I actually tried them plain, and the only way to describe this taste is god-awful and nasty. But I digress. Confess that we all come together and agree that it's true that ramen noodles has been one of the greatest survival tools. Now, I'm not saying it's the key to salvation or perfect peace, but if they don't have oodles and noodles on the highway to heaven, I bet you the Walmart down there will have them real cheap. And that's my poem, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up, or, you know, I see some laughing emojis and some ha-ha-has in there. Yeah, let's all do the ASL for applause. This, wiggle your fingers. Cool. If you didn't like it, it's okay. Like I said, I'm not all that great. It's cool. But now I want to pass it off to this awesome and amazing person that I know and love so dearly, Miss Ashlee Haze. Woohoo!
Hey everybody! This is so cool to have almost 100 people at a morning poetry salon. This is like really dope. Thank you all for sharing space with us and my wonderful, wonderful teammates. You all heard Mista Funn, and I'm so excited to be part of this team. I'm going to share with you a couple poems because I want to talk a little bit about storytelling and how we use poetry to capture our histories and to tell our own stories and sort of make sense of the world around us. So the first poem I'm going to read is about my cousins and them. One of the things COVID took was our family reunion. We didn't get to have that. And family reunions are my favorite thing. There's always like that old person who swears they've known you since you were little and you're like, I have no idea who you are. Always the cousin who don't want to stay in their lane and want to try to make the potato salad, and that's not really what they're supposed to be doing. And so I wanted to capture all of those fun moments in this poem called Multitudes. But I also have a moment where I talk about people who grew from ash because Chicago is a city that was burned down and rebuilt. That is where my folks are from. So this is an ode to my people. It is called Multitudes. We contain multitudes. We weep. We fight. We know grief like an old lover. We play cards and talk smack. We play the dozens. And if you don't know what the dozens is, that's when you talk about somebody's mama. We play the dozens with boundaries. Because I'm going to say something about your mama, but you say something about mine and I'm going to be ready to fight. We throw shade about the potato salad. We footwork and juke. We eat fish and spaghetti. We fail, but make the trying look good. We hide Aunt Annie's wig. We scrape up $1 to go to the candy lady. We ask daddy even after mama just told us no. We steal a piece of Sunday dinner before it's cooled off. We burn our mouths, yet still come back for more. We be a scorched people who know the heat of fire, but live always to tell the story. So that is Multitudes. Like I said, I wanted to share that poem because it highlights what I hope the work that we'll work on over the next few weeks is just developing our storytelling skills and learning how to really just be documenters, because that's one of my favorite parts of being a poet is that I get to document my own story the way that I see it. And so this next poem is actually a little bit more abstract. So this poem, I was given a prompt to write a poem that is a prayer. Which seems to be pretty easy for me. And I wrote this for a project called Prayers in LA. And a lot of artists just interpreted what their idea was prayer was. And so when I think of prayer, I think that I can talk to God, the universe, whatever's out there, like they're homies, like we homies, you know, like this what I got going on. You know what I got going on. So let's just work this out, right? And so I wrote this sort of, you know, my prayer for where we are right now. You know, it's been a crazy year and a half. January was a long year, it seemed like. So I turned to prayer, and this is what came out. I pray for light. Pray that it slices through the darkness and that we see more clearly the air of our ways. I pray for air. Pray my people be breathing and not needing permission to do it. I pray the Black girl wins. Pray she be placed on a pedestal with no apology. Pray she know love. Pray she be held by a brown-skinned man who picks flowers more than he picks fights. Pray the brown-skinned man know courage. Pray he persevere even when the world call him threat. Pray he tender. Because what is more divine than a man who knows how to hold space for softness? I pray the babies laugh. Pray they taste sour lemons and sweet honey. I pray the moon cuddle up next to you. On nights that seem more alone than others, I pray for days off, where my self-worth is not determined by how many things I have crossed off my list. I pray for comfortable leggings and warm hot chocolate. Pray for my mama's macaroni and cheese and my grandmother's pie. I pray like me and God are homies. And what audacity to petition a goddess who has already gone through the trouble of waking us up. I hope the gods know I be humble in my asking. Hope God remembers that he called us children of a king. I imagine he expects the wish list to match. We be entitled to love. We be entitled to ask, even if the answer is no. We got a right to wish and want without somebody calling us rotten. We be good fruit. Pray we sweet. Pray we hear, even after the storm. So that was my prayer for all of us here, that we know love, that we breathe, that we have peace and experience joy. And those are the things that we will cultivate. That's the cool things about these poets. Funn is a heck of a storyteller. And that is sort of the language that we hope to give you all through this program. I'm going to hand it over to the incomparable Theresa Davis, Atlanta legend, mama of all poetry babies, and you are going to absolutely love Theresa's work. I am a student of Theresa Davis always, so please, please, please welcome Theresa Davis.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I miss people. I miss being around and hearing, seeing. I miss a lot of things. Thank you so much, Ashlee. Yeah, I'm gonna do this poem here. Just thinking about, my kid was just about to start this job when everything shut down, right? So he was rudderless for a while, and now he's like, what do I do? I don't know what I'm interested in anymore, right? And so we've been having talks about, trying to find some internships for him to figure out, does he want to do social political work? Does he want to do theater work? Does he want to do, because he's definitely an artist. I think, yeah, poor baby. Anyway, this is a time when we did a project together and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. So this is called The Truth About Jaguars. So there's a report. It's about jaguars. And as per the divorce agreement, I am the designated parent on duty for this particular assignment. Excitedly, I pull the information. He, my son, and I will dissect it until we unearth the truth about jaguars. We have a system. I read a paragraph. He gives me a synopsis. Then we switch hats, repeat the process. It works. He is fascinated by their length, which equals their height, the tallest from head to tail, measuring between 6 and 8 feet. When I explain that the room we are in now have 8-foot ceilings, but in animals, it's not so much tall as it's sleek. My son, he is agog. When I tell him he is agog, he wants to know what agog means. I tell him and we agree. He is definitely agog. When we speak of gestation, he wants to know if the jaguar gets married. I tell him that humans are the only animals that take part in that particular ceremony, that some animals will mate for life, a kind of marriage without clergy or ring, but not the jaguar. The jaguar likes to be alone. Only during mating season do they mate. He thinks the jaguar male has commitment issues. He doesn't say this, but what he does say is, so he's a father and he doesn't help raise the children. Don't some people do that? He is offended when he learns that due to deforestation and urban sprawl, the jaguar is losing its natural habitat, and my inner activist grins. Then he laughs hysterically when we learn what marking territory means. You're saying he pees on his territory? Does he pee on his mate? And I resist the R. Kelly job, itching at the back of my throat. He collects himself. We get back to work. He is enjoying this, and I am enjoying him. Jaguars with no rosette on their fur are called puma, he says. My sister has shoes that are puma, so jaguars and pumas run fast. I see the connections being made in the flash of his eyes, the nod of his head. So the car is called a jaguar because it's fast and sleek and expensive, I mutter under my breath. He becomes agitated when he learns that people still kill jaguar for their fur, adamantly speaks about what he would do to those people for hurting such beautiful animals. And my inner activist, she does a backflip. But when he asks, how long does it take for an endangered animal to become extinct? I come up short. I answer honestly. I tell him I don't know. You don't know, Mom, but you know everything. And I teeter on the edge of something purely frightening, that the reality that Mom has a flaw, teacher has a flaw. Do I tell him about my humanness, that I don't know the answers to everything, but I'm working on it? Do I tell him that jaguars may not exist when he has children of his own, that the knowledge he gains right now could make for an incredible bedtime story to share with the children he may have someday with a mate he will not mark for territory? Do I tell him that working on this project is the best feeling I have felt all year, and that the only thing I have in common with jaguars, or the truth about them, is him? Thank you all for listening to that. Yay! So I'm gonna pass it to my friend Joan. Lyric. It says Joan.
Okay, both work. Either works. Awesome.
I miss you, Joan. I miss you.
Thank you for that. I miss Theresa Davis poetry. Like, I miss Ashlee Haze poetry. I miss Abyss poetry. Mista Funn, all of you. I'm so happy to be here this morning. Thank you for having me. I will read two relatively new short poems over here. If you know me, you know your girl likes to tell a story. And I believe that poetry is just a collection of the human experience. So that's what I'm going to share with you all today. We'll get started with a poem I wrote when I was working with the children. I was working at the Boys and Girls Club here in Atlanta, and I really wanted to explore storytelling with them, but through the lens of justice. Dr. Cornel West says that justice is what love looks like in public. And I've taken that approach to a lot of my work in merging the two, love and justice. So here's a poem that kind of gets at that. Every Tuesday, I bring the children Legos, and I ask them to build a world for me, a world they know, a world they can imagine. The boys build for me a jail. The girls build for me a pink one. Today, I met a girl who looked at all the jails, then looked up at all of me. She says, Miss Joan, today I'm going to build a zoo. I watch as Zoe builds a cage for animals while her peers build a cage for men, and I smile. And I do not tell the other children what happens in jail. I do not ask why they want to build more of them. I simply smile as Zoe builds herself a zoo. I learn to build a bigger world around the rest of them, because maybe all they need is a love that feels a little more like freedom, a home away from home that feels like healing, and maybe I ought to build a world with them this time so they see one bigger than the one they've imagined. So there's that one. And I'll wrap up with a poem that is within the theme of what I talk about all the time. I love being a Black girl, y'all. I love being magic. I love being more Black girl than I am magic. And this is a short poem I wrote celebrating that and celebrating my lineage of that, right? I like to celebrate the ancestors, all of our ancestors, and how they contributed to what makes us magic. So here we go. And what if I am magic? And this poem never stops writing itself. And my tongue is the wand. And my pen keeps casting these spells. What if the smoke from all the fires I done started clears with every birthday I'm blessed to see? The way my lineage set up each year has got to be a gift. The spell. Maybe I'm the only one my ancestors trust to carry on the show with. Seems they don't pass down the book of tricks liberally. Who abracadabra me, the enchanted one? What I'm supposed to do with all this good juju but keep giving the folks a show? My grandmother calls it witchcraft. But being a Black girl has always been more than magic. It has always been a ritual of hiding behind our healing, of saying that we are fine before we poof into oblivion, before the ghosts in our own story become the ghosts in our own story. But sometimes we bask in all of this glory, and we hashtag our way through, and we ask the ancestors for the brew. And I must say, what a gift it is to be among the chosen few. All right. So thank you all. I'm looking forward to working with y'all this season. Magic. I love. Oh, I've gotten so used to looking at the chat. Y'all gonna distract me. But before we wrap up, I'm gonna pass it over to my good brother, Coach Abyss. Without further ado.
How you doing, guys? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I feel so nervous. I feel so nervous here. Give it up for all of my partners that came through, all my poet friends that came through and did their thing. And what I like about this, I got a chance. This is the first time that I'm really being virtual with this many people ever. So this is almost like bingo. It's like I'm watching faces come in and out. But I'm going to do a piece. I'm an artivist, so I'm an activist, but I use my art as my weapon. I speak. I've been to Renfroe a couple of times in the last couple of years. So I just want to spit this piece for you. So I'm a lyricist of the bunch. So I lost a lot of sleep to dreams. Here's to insomniacs. Red Eye alumni, we did it from the cardiac. Self-made, we adapt to any habitat. I got this heat, but they ain't playing with my thermostat. You think I'm fly, you can see that stuff I'm on. A dirty job, you can tell what I'm stepping on. I walk the walk, I talk the talk, my lessons learned. I'm angelic with the flow, yes, my wings are earned. I'm in a cadre of madres and padres. We spit calligraphy until it's imagery. I paint picture with the symphony, ebb, flow, flute, timpani, orchestrated in the ether, they call it ministry. Tell Caesar no toleration for tyrants. The bomb's ticking, we outnumber the hydrants. I'm Fahrenheit, I elevate the climate. Young lion with science, that's what you call guidance. They want us to sell our souls, the barter of profit. Like God's property is hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Because when you got drive, they rather you park it. But I don't ballet. You ain't getting my keys. I'm keeping closed hands. I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection dealing with 8 sections. This the art mixed with life. You can feel the convection. You can see the conviction on any selection. Superb diction. Pen and guitar's the weapon. Between a rock and a hard, I'm living on Baltic. I'm trying to get the Park Place flowing like faucet. Hustle hard. Boulevard where I come from. Some get lumped for the lump sums and then some. Conundrum. Vicious cycle. Son, I'm built to win ever since I was a young one. Mama had the pom-poms, I was young and restless. I left the drama for the dum-dums. Count my blessings, peep lesson. A mariachi with a metaphor. My hustle slept in, most high the guarantor. Because today I'm student, tomorrow I'm teacher. Be it the sidelines, the end zone, skybox or bleachers. Something got to change because the anger can't feed us. Do y'all know what happens mixing a lion with cheetahs? It get to cracking like a skillet up a heater. Somebody leaving salty like a rim of margarita. Sound like a happy hour up at Applebee's. These are neighborhood bars. Pardon me. I'm from a place. Oh, yes, they call it Detroit. I'm authentic. You can tell me from them decoys. Shirts, the skins, the crack fiends, D-boy. They call me public enemy. Yup, I bring noise. I ain't your regular poet. How y'all doing? I'm looking forward to working with y'all this season. So definitely, y'all bear with me. I did turn 50, but hey, I'm still litty.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so you all got a chance to hear a little bit from each and every one of us, and we've been watching the chat. I don't know exactly who got the Nobel Prize, but one of you was given the Nobel Prize. So I saw that come through. So just know that the Nobel Prize is coming your way.